Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, all over the world. Dobson777A here, or Alpha here. People like it when I say the Alpha. Actually, somebody suggested it, and I think that's a great idea. Well, anyways, I thought I'd sneak in here and get a live stream in because we've actually been, as we've seen, slumping down on the metals. And I think there's a reason for it this time of year. When you look at the holidays, there's very low trading levels, and therefore it's easy for things to kind of slump down. Let me take a quick look at what the metal prices are. So we're at 17.92 for gold and 60 cents, and then 23.13 for silver. I thought we'd have kind of an interesting conversation. I've been watching a couple of videos, and we started seeing some things talking about, are we actually living in a simulation? That was like a big topic probably about a year ago. Some of the brains, scientists, and stuff were actually kind of wondering the way things were working, whether that was a possibility or not. But there's some religions that actually believe that you kind of have an opportunity before you're born to decide what type of life you're going to live. If you're going to have a more challenging life, or you're going to have, something easier. And I thought that concept was kind of interesting. And you kind of start over. It's almost like everybody remember the chutes and ladders. Kind of reminds me a little bit in life where you fight, you get all the way to a certain point, and then you all of a sudden can hit one of these chutes and go all the way back to the beginning and start over again. And I wonder sometimes if possibly, especially the type of life that seems like I've been going through, especially the last 6 years. In fact, my whole life has been quite challenging, and I wouldn't want it any differently because uh, that's kind of the way I like to live. I like to have challenge. I'd be bored to death if I just sat and, like in a rocking chair. I just can't do stuff like that. I was just kind of curious if you guys have heard that thought process where uh, you actually choose what you want, what type of life you want. In fact, I've heard that, you know, if there's like multiverses, that a lot of people choosing Earth is like one of the most challenging things that you would want to choose to come here, because it's just kind of like a more difficult type existence. And then you have the full gambit of, you can imagine, maybe not have, maybe living in a broken family, having to deal with drugs or alcoholism, all kinds of stuff. I've never had those kind of challenges. All those around me have had those kind of challenges. I seem to be surrounded by a lot of females that have a lot of mental issues, and that's been my challenge that I've had to deal with, that kind of stuff. But I'm just kind of curious, your thoughts. Have you considered the fact that we may be living in a simulation? Have you considered the fact that you might have chose the type of life that you're in before you were born? You were given a choice. Let me know what you think. I thought that was, it's been very interesting, some of these videos that I've watched along those lines. I've watched some of the news about I don't even know how to pronounce that, the Omicron, the new variants of the COVID. I think they're all just trying to scare the crap out of everybody. I don't, normally these viruses become less and less of an issue as time goes on, so I wouldn't get too excited about any of this stuff. Yeah, I've been watching some other videos about, and this is partly why I have been planning the way I have. Um, we have, a monetary reset, but we also have like a societal type reset that's occurring, and we have, like some problems with our sun, the way it goes through cycles. Everything's going to be hitting during this next 20 years, and it's just going to be one major challenge after another. And I've talked about this exclusively, and it's one of those things that when we are going down this decline like this, it initially it's like a low slope. Do it like this. It's like a low slope, but then things kind of accelerate. And there's a lot of people that are saying that we're already over that hill and we're down in this area and we are rapidly descending. So when that happens, you can't change the trajectory. It is what it is, and you just got to try to prepare yourself both mentally, physically, spiritually for what's coming, and just be as prepared as possible. Now, I've been cleaning out my gardens. There was still a little bit of stuff that was in the gardens that I hadn't pulled out, like my last few pepper plants. They've been frozen, so I pulled them out today. And what I've been doing is rototilling the beds because my onions came in, and I'm going to use that new tool that I made. But I rototilled the beds first, and then I've got some compost that I've been composting, leaves and grass and stuff like that. I've been taking a wheelbarrow full of compost and putting it in each of my raised beds. And then what I'm doing is rototilling that in. And then what I'll do is be planting my onions. But it's, oh, and also my garlic. I plant my garlic this time. So every year I'm still doing everything that I've always done. It's about keeping in practice. Onions and garlic you plant near the shortest day of the year, and then you harvest near the longest day of the year. And I've done a video that shows step by step how to do onions, and I showed you last year. The recipe works flawlessly. And I mean, I had onions that big. They're humongous. So I have to admit, this last year we had lots of rain. I hardly had to water at all. Everything was perfect here. So it made life a lot easier. But anyway, Silver Liner is very active on the board here, and Greg Steinberg is in the house. It's good to see you guys. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's interesting. I don't know. I still look at everything that I've done. I don't think I would have done it any differently. I think I've done fairly well in my life. I don't have any real regrets. Yeah, thanks for the thumbs up. I think it's one of those things that, there's always one or two things that you've made mistakes, but there's an old saying, if you aim small, you hit small. And so that's what I've been trying to do throughout my whole life. I've been just constantly improving, never go backwards, just always go forwards. So what else is going on? Oh my God. Oh, my back is killing me. A lot of bending over. Of course, you got to weed the garden first before you do all the rototilling. So I was pulling out all the clover and stuff that was trying to get a head start in there. The beds look so much better when you rototill them, though. Do you remember how I put those pressure treated boards in my raised beds in front? Well, I just noticed today I had one board that failed. Out of all those boards, one failed. So I've got to replace that tomorrow. It was kind of strange, just in the one location. So it must not have been pressure treated properly, or I don't know. Normally it's pressure treated stuff. And this is now about 4 years these beds have been in place. So they've been holding up very well. I think over time I want to put retaining wall blocks everywhere because they just don't rot. And it's kind of on a hill, and the retaining wall blocks will hold the soil better than these things that I've got. So I might start picking up some of those things, have them delivered, and knocking that out. It's a lot of work, though. Yeah, I don't know. I saw that they're trying to isolate Africa for some reason. And normally they're doing that because Africa is not probably playing ball in something. So they're trying to punish them. But you notice they haven't had any significant COVID problems. So they're actually trying to punish them probably for that. Jewelry Affairs is in the house. I haven't heard any travel bans in this country. I did hear that one of California towns is trying to make mandatory masks in your own home, which that's just like absolutely bizarre to me. But they're trying to do that. How many of y'all heard that part of it? Should have got my chapstick, man. My lips are burning from being outside a lot today. It was kind of windy out there and cool, so I think it dried me out. Just about done with the last of the leaves falling too. That's always been fun this time of year, trying to, keep everything vacuumed up and looking halfway decent. I did plant some new grass, kind of overseeded because we had so much rain this last year. It kind of killed off my grass. It didn't do any good to try to put any poisons out and everything for the grubs and stuff because it just was washing it away. What are you guys doing with your gardens? Your gardens just filled up. I was watching some of the football games today. Yeah, some snow falling. So one of them was Michigan. Let's see, who were they playing? They ended up beating somebody. Was it Alabama? I think Michigan beat Alabama, yeah. There was quite a few upsets today. Even Auburn. Auburn just about beat Ohio. That was interesting. A lot of snow in a couple of those games, too. Seems kind of early. November. I guess it's almost December. Kind of froggy. So what do you think is going to happen with the precious metals? Are we going to all of a sudden see a run up towards the end of the year here? It seemed like that happened a few years ago. We had a major run up right at the end of the year. Yep. Oh, Ohio. Okay. That was a great game. Yeah, Michigan's probably going to, kind of curious what the standings are going to be. Something in my eye. I was watching reading some articles about people talking about debasing the dollar. Not that we haven't been debasing already. Maybe they're talking about trying to see if they can get somebody to make a significant jump, which I've kind of warned you has happened. China did it a few years ago. They debased their currency like 15% overnight. Good grief. Can you imagine what happens with the, gold and silver and everything if they start doing stuff like that? Man, that doggone stadium, that Michigan stadium, I looked it up. They hold like 102,000 people or 106,000. I forget what it was. Some huge stadium, and that thing was packed. You wouldn't think there was a pandemic going on with those football games. Yeah, I didn't really look at anything because this is the time of year where you can expect this kind of stuff to happen because all the traders are gone for the whole week. Nobody's trading anything. This is just what's going to happen. Yeah, the big house. They got the biggest stadium of all. I should have combed my hair. You could tell I was outside in the wind today. I'm overdue for a haircut. I got a haircut coming in on Monday. Long overdue. I noticed my hat doesn't even fit right anymore. I got so much hair. Thing I can't stand is when it gets behind my ears in the back, and that's when I know I got to get a haircut. My whole side beds, I've been got them all filled up with leaves so that it give the worms something to compost on. So by summer next year, uh, that soil will be freshened up with all the leaves. I'll probably try to rototill that early in the year so that it has a chance to be get a better munch going. I'm thinking about ordering like 10,000 worms. I know you can do that on the internet. It's not terribly expensive, and just kind of disperse them all throughout the beds. I got a lot of worms already, but shave your head. I still want to get one of those Flobies because I can't stand going and spending as much as I do for a haircut. Haircuts are expensive these days. I don't know if a Flobie would do any good or not. I just want to try it, but they just haven't been able to keep them in stock. I'll start the charts over right at the beginning of the year so we can get all our miners squared away and see what the performance is. And I'll try to find, the starting point, a lot of these miners when we're recommended them. So get a table started for that. It's been kind of interesting watching some of these. Yeah, I found a video on YouTube where somebody took like a couple pieces of plexiglass and then they put like a divider over on 1/3 of it. And so they put soil on the 2/3 part and they put the worms in there. And then on the other side, they filled it with like leaves and other types of organic material, like, I don't know. I hear some people feed their worms like pumpkins and stuff. But anyways, it was really interesting watching those red wigglers just devour everything. It was just amazing how aggressive they are. No, I don't burn my leaves. I've got a spot on my property that falls off pretty rapidly. And so what I do is in fact, I did a little video to show you that during the worst part of the leaf falling, I blow off the sides of my driveway onto the driveway, and then I bring a tarp up there and I rake it onto a tarp and I drag it down to the low spot in the back of the property and dump it off. And I just keep doing that. And I mean, it took me like 3 hours this past week to do that. It was really a lot of leaves, but the rest of them I just mulch up and I put in my beds. Yeah, you're not going to see the sharp drops. You're not going to see the silver precious metals or the manufactured silver coins. You're not going to see those drop because of the amount of money it takes to make those things. Well, Anonymous, keep in mind there's a good delivery bars track the spot price very closely. But if you want to go buy like Silver Eagles and stuff, those things take a hell of a lot more manufacturing costs than what is a good delivery bar? 1,000 ounces or something? I think it's 1,000 ounces. So if you go look at, always track because you keep talking about physical, good delivery bars are physical price and they track very closely. There's an extremely low markup on good delivery bars. Those things are, whatever it is, $26,000 or something right now, 1,000 ounces. Probably can go look up. Let me see real quick, see if I can get a quick spot price, a good delivery bar. You'd have to go to Kitco or something. Here's Money Meadows. That's 32 ounces. Oh, that's 1 kilo. That's not the good delivery bar. I usually have to go to Kitco or something to find that. Oh, here it is, Kitco. 1,000-ounce silver bars. You have to call. They don't have it listed. Well, that's frustrating. They used to have it listed. Maybe it's because it's a holiday weekend or something. And these are, I mean, the other thing about 1,000-ounce bars is they vary in weight as well. You don't get exactly 1,000 ounces. They're kind of in the, it's funny they don't have a price for it. Oh, well. Trying to see if anybody has it. It says normally the 1,000-ounce Comex silver bar is as low as 99 cents over spot. Well, right now, this is on SD Bullion, 993.94 ounce silver bar for $24,520. So that's 24.52 cents per, $24.52 per ounce. All right, there you go. Let me get back to the live stream here. Yeah, I know the Turkey's lira has had troubles. Yeah, Silverliner, I had a very good Thanksgiving. I had cooked, in fact, I put it on the community tab. I took a picture of my 18-pound turkey, which was one of the smaller ones I've done in years. I smoked it for a couple hours, and then I brought it in and finished it in the oven for 2 more hours. And I found out that way it's not heavily over smoked, and it came out fantastic. I did almost 2 dozen deviled eggs, and I put the recipe on there. That actually came out excellent as well. I kind of double stuff my eggs. And then I have this green bean recipe. I don't even know if I normally put my recipes up for you guys, but this is using some tomato paste, onions, bacon, and I even use some diced tomatoes, mix it in, and I used the pole beans that I grew this year. So I did the 3 quart-sized jars of this. So it was a massive pot of that, because just those green beans alone or pole beans are a meal by themselves. Yeah, I didn't know palladium prices collapsed. That's kind of interesting. Oh, tamales. I love tamales. I still have, you probably remember a little bit over a year ago, I ordered a whole ton of vacuum packed frozen tamales, and I've still got them in the freezer, and I pull some out every once in a while. There's usually about 5 tamales in a pack, and they're big ones. And I usually make some seasoned rice that I put them on top of. I love tamales. Put my sriracha sauce on top. I like the green salsa, if I can remember to pick that up too. I like that. $5,000 shares of Labrador Gold. Man, I'll tell you, I was looking at some of, I did look 2 weeks ago. I went and pulled up precious metal miners, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head right now. To remember that one that John Duty gave us free, that thing is still holding up very well. It changed names though, but or ticker symbols changed, but it's still doing excellent. Anybody remember that? That's the problem when I do these late things. I can't. Actually, palladium is not way rarer than gold. Platinum is, but not palladium. I think you got that backwards. I did an analysis on this too. I can pull up a spreadsheet, go through it. Bellow Sun, yeah, thank you. Bellow Sun's still hanging in there. We haven't got the big payout yet, but I wonder if I can get to that. Let me see if I can do that real quick. Yeah, I've got the workbook right here. Let me find the rarity thing. It's nice to answer things real time. And I think I got the house a little warm with the wood stoves. I was kind of trying to get early tonight. Come on. Hard drive was asleep. All right, element abundance. Here we go. Okay, if you go by parts per million, and I averaged like 5 different ways, 5 different assessments, gold is at 0.00273 parts per million. It turns out platinum is 0.00390, so that's not as rare as gold. And then palladium is 0.00730. So palladium is 3 times more abundant than gold. And silver is, let's see, I think it's 27 times more abundant than gold, if I do this calculation right. Yeah. All right. So here it is. 27.4 times more abundant than gold is silver is. Palladium is 2.7 times more abundant than gold, and platinum is 1.4 times more abundant than gold. So there you go. That's from the Earth's crust. Now, some of this is much more difficult to mine than others. Like, for instance, silver is on the surface, and so all kinds of surface mining, and it's a byproduct of a lot of different things. So even that abundance thing is kind of meaningless because they're going after lead and copper and other things, and they get silver free pulling out of it. And that's why silver price a lot of times is way lower than you would think it would be. But gold, where you have to mine, sometimes miles underneath the earth to get to this stuff, it makes it much more difficult. So there's your story. What do you think about getting a sat phone for comms? Well, I will tell you that I haven't looked at the pricing of those things, but I got a feeling that those are fairly expensive. I think you're smarter to go get like CB radios and other forms of communication. Like I've got things that allow me to listen all over the whole world, and I think you ought to be considering more listening than transmitting anyway. So I've got a pretty nice setup here. Oh, you can see my Christmas tree. Yeah, I did get that set up. Now we've gone through this 8 times more abundant than gold. What you're thinking about is how much we pull out of the ground. You got to remember they're not going to pull out more than they need. It's the abundance is 27 times more, but they don't need to pull out 27 times more because we don't have the demand for it. So look, this is readily available information, people. You can go research it. I've produced this before. It's very simple. Go look up the elements in the Earth's crust, And there's like 5 different assessments that have been done, and I've done this over and over again. I thought about growing a beard. I had a beard forever, from my early 20s all the way until 2007, I think it was. For my daughter's wedding, I shaved my beard. So I decided I think I'm going to go ahead and not shave my beard. see if I look like Santa Claus or not. I should pull up some old pictures and show you where I had my, I must have cut myself the other day. Right here. So what else you guys been doing? Do you travel to go see family? Heard tons of people were traveling this year. I stayed put. I just had a couple friends over here. We ate like crazy. Family's all traitors. When you went to family gets-togethers, did they make you wear masks? That was the other test. Did they make sure you had your COVID shot records before they let you in the house? Let me see what this is. Just go look at Wikipedia, abundance of elements in Earth's crust. There's the Darling, Bar Balance, Weeb elements, Israeli Science, Jefferson Lab. So I took those 5 and I averaged the ppm, and it's all the elements. So they have it 78 elements, and I put together a table, and then I did the analysis on that. And I've got the same thing in this. There's this book that I have. It's called Handbook of Chemistry and Physics. I've had that for years and years and years. It's got all the tables of everything, and that's one of the tables that carries in there too. Oh man, I don't watch news at all. I really don't. I mean, even when you watch that Rittenhouse, the crap that is going on with that is so terrible. I think the miners are going to be the place to be. I think you will be very happy. We'll get this started up right at the beginning of the year again. I got a feeling we're going to see some significant movement, especially with whatever this 5.7 trillion fiasco that they're doing. There's no end in sight of what's about to happen. Definitely on the right side of this trade. Clot shot. Yeah, I hadn't heard that. That's a good one. Yeah, I've just about finished documenting my case. Everybody that thinks they can just throw hearsay, innuendo, all that kind of stuff are going to be surprised when real data shows the light of day. there's going to be some attorneys who are probably going to get fired. Helicopter money. That's what the stimulus has actually been. Yeah, remember I talk about don't chase the trend unless you get a significant buying opportunity, like when things kind of crash down. It's kind of hard to pass that up sometimes, but a lot of times your metal prices don't really drop like you're finding. So what about it? Do you guys think you're living in a simulation? It reminds me of what was the thing with the Cylons? I'm trying to think what the name of that was. It wasn't Babylon 5. It was, anyways, they kept repeating. They said, you know, what's happened before has happened before. Everything that you see is just a cycle that everything crashes down. Our civilizations have been built on top of other civilizations, on top of other civilizations over and over again. It's almost like they reset it every 6,000 years and just start over again. It's almost like the computer crashes and they just reset it and start over again. Normally, these variants do not cause as much trouble. They're usually weaker. And you think about like the flus and everything else, they're not as horrible as what's happened in the past. That's typically kind of the life cycle of viruses. The virus just want to infect as many people as possible, not try to kill them. They're trying to expand their uh, out into as many people as possible. Well, I'll tell you what, if you go look at, oh man, I can't think of that one admiral. There was one admiral that went up to, you know, one of the poles with a pretty substantial force, and he says they got their ass kicked and got out of there barely alive. So there's some interesting stories back in the 40s or something. You ought to look that up. There's some of that's actually on YouTube still. So there's something to be said about that. Wish I could remember that admiral's name. Was it Rickenhouse or something? I can't think of his name. Those stories are amazing. I don't know. Everybody's still saying we're in a melt up on the Dow. I don't think they can allow it to drop because pensions and everything are all tied to this. There'd be freaking total anarchy if they let that thing crash down. And Powell's going to stay at the Fed, and they're kind of said, well, since Trump put him in, if the thing crashes, they can blame Trump for it. That's one of the rationale why they left him in there. Yeah, Brandon needs to work on his oil task force. My son has two young children, and he's getting checks periodically from the government. I forget what that. There's some kind of child stimulus that they're handing out, $300 per kid or something. Must be like every quarter or something. I got the Christmas lights up outside too. That's just nothing. Yeah, the approval ratings are horrible. So one of the things, another thing that I've been watching. Oh, it's 300 a month per child. Well, that's a lot. Yeah. Um, there's another thing that's kind of happening. It's We're kind of going through an awakening right now. We recognize that, even when you elect somebody, it doesn't change anything. They still kind of do the same thing because these are just figureheads. They don't control anything. And we are all recognizing that, the news that's been fed to us has been lie after lie after lie after lie. So we have kind of a great awakening. The question is, what are we going to do about it? Are we going to do anything about it? Some things that I saw, um, we're starting to see companies or corporations waking up and say, yeah, we can't lay off people that aren't vaccinated because it just shuts us down. We saw Southwest, uh, they had to cancel 10,000 flights because people just said, okay, forget it. We're going to do like a walkout for a day. And then I saw in New York, they had to lay off 20% of their garbage collection people because they weren't, getting the vaccination. And so all of a sudden, garbage is piling up everywhere. And then the people in the town are going, what is wrong with you idiots? You can't lay these guys off. So, anyways, this whole thing is not working out the way they thought it would be. And we're seeing states like Florida just saying, go pound sand. I even saw National Guard in, was it Wisconsin or something? They just said, no, we're not going to, do anything with the folks. We're waiting for the waiver process to come through, even though the military has been slow rolling the waiver process. So I think some of this is starting to turn around, and there's massive riots in other countries right now because of the restrictions. And I think people are just had enough, and they said, "Forget it. We're not going to play this game anymore." So the question is, what's going to happen? Are we going to get our media squared away where it's actually, of course, if it's run by CIA and everything else, that part's going to have to be fixed. But it seems like something is changing, but is it changing fast enough? Are they going to do something else? I don't know. I don't know. And you've seen what's going on with the educational stuff. People are going to these um, school, what do you call it? It's not school council, it's school board meetings. And they've been raising hell at the school board meetings. So it seems like things are starting to flip in the other direction. But I mean, this is a long road ahead, a long road ahead. California's went through a pretty good number of people where their power was shut off during Thanksgiving because there were high winds again, and they haven't been clearing the lines, the underbrush and stuff, and they were worried about fires. So we've had some. I haven't heard yet about the cold weather, whether that caused any rolling blackouts or anything like they were predicting. There's a lot of stuff that all of a sudden we're starting to see some changes, but there's some things they can do that just bring tremendous pain on everybody to see if they bring them back in line. But I think it's kind of past that point now. I think everybody's just tired of it and they're not going to take it anymore. Yeah, Silverliner, come on over to Georgia. I'll throw some barbecue. Of course, February is not the greatest time in the world to be doing barbecue. Up here, it's in the 20s at night, probably 40s during the day. Yeah, I'm in North Georgia here. Undisclosed location in Georgia. Oh, man. Got California, Seattle, Florida. That's where I was from. Born in Kingsville, Texas, though. Australia. Anonymous is in his bunker. Colorado. I used to have more people all over the world on this show. Well, when the miners and everything start moving and we start doing more shows on that, we'll have a lot more people back in the thing. But, we had a year of really not much going on, just sideways to downward slightly, but not too bad. I just let it all ride. Admiral Byrd, thank you for looking that up. That was a guy he took, was it Antarctica? He took a pretty significant expedition, fighter planes, everything, and they got their butts kicked. Did you know? I haven't looked it up lately, but this was several weeks ago. I looked it up. Do you know what the percentage of people that have not paid their taxes for 2020 yet? Talking about federal income taxes. Do you know what the percentage is? I'll Google it right now and see if it's changed from the last time I looked. But start throwing some estimates up. I should say not filed 2020 taxes. All right, we got 72% from Penny Pension Prepper. Come on, throw some guesses up. Remember, last year was the main COVID year, so what percentage of people didn't file? That was one of the reasons why they were talking about looking at people's accounts, for $600 transactions and stuff, because they know a large percentage of people didn't. Actually, this is paid no federal income taxes. This isn't what I thought. Hold on, I got to do this again. I'll tell you this much. 61% of all taxpayers paid no federal income taxes in 2020. How many didn't file? I don't know if I can find out. It's not saying. Yeah, like that Peter Schiff says, if they can just print money, nobody should be paying taxes. Just print it. I'll have to try to do a refined search rather than just on the phone. It's not coming up of how many have not filed. Maybe I'll just report that They didn't file because they're all dead from COVID or something. I don't know. Well, I'll tell you what, my accountant, because of the rental properties and everything I do, I give him um, kind of like a spreadsheet. And I actually even take a Word document and I have all of the associated documents all printed out for him. And I sit down with him for about an hour and he just does the plug and chug. And he says, "You have no idea how much money you're saving by doing it this way." Because all my stuff is summarized. So it just gets plugged and chugged. And it's still $600. It's a lot of money. But if I had just given him the pile of receipts and had him do it, it would cost a heck of a lot more money. I don't know where the Red River is in Texas. I was born in Kingsville, which is like way south. And then I lived in Houston for many years, and I visited Dallas many years because my company had major offices out there that I had to travel to. But I'm not sure where the Red River is. And I'll tell you what, if silver goes to $700 an ounce, a lot of us are going to be very happy people. It'd be like $2.8 million for me. But that would mean your bread is going to be $50 and gasoline's going to probably be $100. I don't know. I think so many people have been out of jobs for so long. They're just trying to survive. They don't have money for taxes. They don't have money for food, for health insurance, you name it. If you get 30 ounces of gold, silver liner, you'll be in the top 1% of gold holders. I read that somewhere. So imagine if you had 30 ounces of platinum, where you'd be. We talked about that when they start doing this helicopter money, it's just like a ripple in a pond, but they can't stop once they start. The inflation starts going up so much. I mean, food stamps, I have to find that article. I got to put a couple of these things together. Your food stamps, they increased the food stamps like 30%, but they only gave Social Security like 5.9% increase, which that kind of tells you there's something stupid going on there. And they're giving $300 a month for each kid. That's helicopter money, people. They're giving out money they really don't have. Print, print, print. And it's a ton of money, or currency, we should say. So I don't know. So, anyways, what's going to happen is pretty soon it's going to be a tidal wave. And yeah, then you start moving along the way of Zimbabwe. Venezuela is a perfect example right now. That just recently happened and it's not stopped yet. We probably have through the end of this decade, and we should see gold and silver up 13 to 15 times in value. That's what happened in the 70s. From 71 to 80, it was like 13 and a half times. So if we started at gold at like say 1,400 times 13.5, that'd be approaching $20,000 for gold. So silver was probably what, 17? So that'd be $230. I keep saying, you know, it's going to be something like $20,000 gold and then $250 silver, roughly. But that's just if it does what happened in 1971 to 1980 when we went to the petrodollar. The question is, what are they going to do since the petrodollar is dying? What's the next thing going to be? Eminem's in the house. And Danny Dan, Craig Zinn. I don't think I mentioned some of these names. Jeshu Run 07. Nunya Biz. Rob B. Tonvo. Did I say Craig's in already? I can't remember. We've got a lot of comments here. Crypto Night. I thought about waiting till tomorrow to do the show to see what gold was going to do, but I might still do another one tomorrow. We'll see. Yeah, Bo Poloni, you know, he had a whole bunch of stuff about 2 years ago where he was like saying this, that, and the other, and it just, nothing ever seemed to kind of work. So he's a little bit of a flim-flam man, I think. Yeah, Edgewater Heating normally jumps in here, but my schedule, I have not been consistent on these shows. I need to get back in here. I don't think the metals have anywhere else to go but up, honestly. Well, we're at nearly 59 minutes here, so I think I'm going to shut her down. Yeah, 20,000 Turkish lira. Yeah, we didn't have a really good attendance tonight, but I didn't advertise in advance, and that's okay. It seemed like everybody's here all the way to the end, so that was good. We had a good conversation. I appreciate everyone. I hope everybody's treating you well. I hope you're doing well. Do the best you can. God bless.